Hey, I am well equipped with my matcha and a raspberry cheese croissant. This is probably my favorite video to film every month because I get to talk about all of the books that I loved. And I also get to pick my TBR for the month. So I'm excited. I did make my own matcha at home with my new Powerpuff Girls cup. I actually got a pack of 4 of these at TJ Maxx. So it has the 3 Powerpuff Girls and then it also has Mojo Jojo on one of them. And then my mom picked up some raspberry cheese croissant. So I'm going to try it now. Very tasty. I will be snacking on this throughout the video, so just be warned. So I'm going to give you a refresher on what our February TBR was. We had Twisted Lies, Crossed, Demons and Darlings, Mine, The Hunger Games, and Her Dark Promise. I did have to amend my TBR for February because I realized that Twisted Lies was book 4 in the series and Crossed was book 5 in the series. So I did end up reading Twisted Love, which was the first book, and Wretched, which was the third book. Aside from those, I read 3 books off of my 6-book TBR and then 3 additional books. I guess we'll just get into it. I had a great reading month this February. We had 2 5-star books, 1 DNF, and the other 3 were, I think 1 was a 3-star and then 2 were 4 stars. Overall, pretty good. The first book I'm going to talk about is Assistant to the Villain. Now, I really loved the grumpy sunshine trope in this book. I feel like it was pretty fast-paced. Overall, I feel like it really catches your attention straight off the bat. This book really pulled me out of a slump, so that's why I rated it so high. I don't think it was a groundbreaking plot or anything like that, but following me finishing Onyx Storm and then DNFing a book right after that, I feel like this book was definitely a lot more lighthearted, fun, again, pretty fast paced, so I was able to fly through it pretty quickly. I think it took me 3 or 4 days to finish it. The ending definitely caught me by surprise. It kind of builds it up. I didn't really have a singular idea who the culprit behind the entire plot was. So the fact that it ended up being who it was. Overall, 4.25 stars. I am going to be continuing the series. I actually picked up the Apprentice to the Villain physically from Barnes & Noble because the second book is not on Kindle Unlimited. It's one of those books where you really anticipate what's coming next, so I feel like I kind of have no choice but to find out what happens next. Next, I'm going to talk about the book that I DNF'd, Her Dark Promise. Now, I had such high hopes for this book. I actually met the author. She signed my book. We met and we talked at the Onyx Storm release party, and I went into this book kind of with rose-colored glasses. I was expecting it to be a 5-star. I DNF'd it at about 80 or 82%. Honestly, I just don't think that I am a why choose girly. I know that in my beginning of the year book tag, I said that I would like to try reading a why choose romance, but I tried it. I don't like it, which is kind of weird because I have been known to sample the occasional love triangle, but I guess I just don't like all of the mingling. I have to say the book did kind of drag a little bit. I found myself having to force myself to read. It was kind of hard to find where the plot was, and after a while it just seemed like it was kind of repetitive. I thought the imagery and the description of the scenery and the flashbacks and the setting was pretty good, but you can definitely tell that this is a debut novel. I think the biggest thing for me was just the romance part. It was really hard for me to get through. A lot of the smut scenes just seemed like they were copy and pasted from other scenes in the same book. I'm not necessarily turned off from the author though. I think she is a great writer, and I do have a 3-strike rule with authors, so I can read 2 more of her books and we'll see if I end up coming back to it. This one was just so disappointing because I was expecting something way different. The next is my first 5-star book of the month, and it is Phantasma. I loved this book. I literally flew through this in I think a day and a half, maybe 2 days. The banter and the chemistry between Ophelia and Blackwell was unmatched. I wasn't a fan of the 3rd act breakup, but I think it was valid because it definitely propelled the plot further. I'm not a fan of when authors just create conflict just to create conflict, but in this case it really worked. A lot of people have been talking about how every other fantasy it seems that there are trials. I don't mind it. I'm sorry, I love trials, and Phantasma did it extremely well. I understand why some people might not like trials, but in this case, I feel like the trials were necessary. It's kind of the entire premise of the book, and each one of them is themed and has like a clear reason and story to it, or a reason to propel the entire story forward. But overall, 5 stars. I am so excited for Enchantra. It comes out on this day later this year. I don't know, I have to look it up later, but yeah, no more notes. I would love to read some of Kaylee Smith's other books as well. I think she's a phenomenal writer. The vibes were unmatched. Like, I literally have art printed out for my book journal that I decided to start because I read this book. That's all. Next, Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I'm pretty sure this falls under the contemporary romance umbrella, and I did not think that I was going to like it as much as I did. I rated it 3.25 stars. This is another like grumpy sunshine romance. My dog is barking, so I'm gonna finish my croissant. It's very good. We're just gonna have to talk around the barking. Anyways, Twisted Love. This is another grumpy sunshine-esque romance. It is a girl and her brother's best friend. I've kind of grown tired of the same cut and paste bad boy type in a lot of contemporary romance books, which is kind of what turns me away from a lot of contemporary romances. It's just like the bad boy and the good girl. I feel like it's been done 1,000 times, but I did enjoy this for the most part. I feel that our FNC Ava had a lot more depth to her character than I gave her credit for, and I was not expecting her to have the backbone that she did. Alex was okay. He's just the guy. But that's why it did get a 3-star. The 0.25 is because I did think it was pretty good for a contemporary romance, but it just seemed like it's okay. I don't plan on rereading it, but I did finish it in a day, so there is that. Next up, we have our second 5-star of the month, which is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is a psychological thriller, the very first thriller that I've read in 2025. I did not think that I was going to enjoy this one as much as I did. I don't typically reach for thrillers, but I think after this book, I will. A lot of people were saying that Frida McFadden is kind of like the gateway author to a lot of thrillers, and I fear that people may be correct. Because of this book, I think I am going to incorporate thrillers more into my reading. I don't think there's anything wrong with reading popular authors, like they're popular for a reason. I was looking at all of Frida McFadden's books and they all look really good, so you may see a lot more Frida McFadden in these monthly wrap-ups. I'm not sure yet. I would love more thriller recommendations. This one definitely catches you out of nowhere. She makes it seem as if one character is at fault the entire time, and then at the very end is when it switches. I think the bounce back between character point of views was very well done. She bounces between our female main character and the character who has been missing, presumed dead the entire time. So the flashbacks are also through time. I think it was extremely well done, and I kind of wish that I could relive the plot twist that I read. I think that is why I gave it a 5-star, is because I thought about it for days. I still think about it now. But I can't stop thinking about this book. It was amazing, and I highly, highly recommend, if you are someone who does not read a lot of thrillers and want to get into it, this book. The last book that I finished in February is Wretched by Emily McIntyre. I think I rated it 4.25 stars, and it was pretty good. I definitely liked it more than Scarred, but actually I would say I liked it more than Hooked and Scarred. I thought that the plot was definitely a lot more involved. In Hooked, I feel like the plot was just the male main character getting revenge by being with the female main character, and in Scarred, I literally barely remember any of it. But in Wretched, the male main character is a DEA agent, and the female main character is the daughter of a mafia drug lord. I don't think it's technically mafia, but it gave kind of almost mafia vibes. So this was kind of like a break from the good girl bad guy trope, and it was giving more of like good guy bad girl, which I enjoyed. I really like how it ended. I think that their love story ended up being really cute at the end. It definitely was very toxic in the beginning. I don't know if I would reread this one, but it was a great experience. I do have the next 2 books in the series also physically. It kind of took a long time for me to pick this series back up because they are interconnected standalones. So there's really no need for me to pick it up directly after reading the last book. I think it is a really good palate cleanser because it is very fast paced. I also finished this book in a day. So Twisted Love, Never Lie, and Wretched, I all finished within 24 hours of starting it. I feel like these reviews are very much not in depth, but it's kind of hard for me to talk about a book without giving spoilers. I feel like I have to be vague. I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a spoiler version of these eventually. So those were the 6 books that I read in February, and now I'm excited. We get to pick our March TBR. So I do have 2 books that I started in February and I am kind of in the middle of. So we have Heartless Hunter and Anathema that I am in the middle of. I do plan on finishing them this week. They're just both on the slower end, so I didn't want to rush reading them before the month was over just to have them count towards my monthly goal. So I do have those 2 that are automatically going to be on my TBR because I would like to finish them. I am going to be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I am going to pick some books. My monthly goal is on the higher end this month. So both in January and February, I read 6 books. 3 of the 6 books that I read in February were in the past week. So I was slumped at the beginning of the month, and then I just was cranking them out towards the end of the month. So my reading goal for March is 10 books. That being said, we are going to choose 4 prompts from our TBR jar. 2 of those books are going to be Anathema and Heartless Hunter. We have the 4 TBR picks, and then we have 4 slots open for me to mood read. I think that's a good balance. So I'm going to start by pulling 4 of these out. First one up is A Book You Thrifted. This is coming off of my physical TBR cart right here. I have 2 books that I thrifted recently. First up is The Bone Shard Daughter. This one is just under 500 pages, so she is a little thick. And the second one that I thrifted is A Study in Drowning. This one is slightly under 400 pages. I don't know how people read with the book jackets on. I always have to take it off. These are our 2 possibilities. I think I'm gonna go with A Study in Drowning because I do want to read something that is like academia themed, so this is perfect. This gives me a reason to actually start it because every time I go into Barnes & Noble and walk past this book, I pick it up and then I put it back on the shelf. So the first one, I'm Sorry to the Bone Shard Daughter, maybe next month. Next jar pick, the next book in a series you've started. Okay. We have a lot of possibilities for this one. A lot. Okay, for some reason, I thought that I was in the middle of a lot more series than I am, but I chose 4 possible series that I can continue, and that's Light Lark, Assistant to the Villain, Twisted, and the Never After series. I've read a book in 3 of these series this past month, which is Assistant to the Villain, Twisted, and the Never After series, which only leaves 1 book for us, and that is Skyshade. Again, taking off the book jacket because that shit annoys me. I have put off Skyshade for such a long time. I think I read Nightbane as soon as it came out, and Skyshade came out somewhat recently, and I just bought it like a couple days ago maybe. I don't know. Skyshade is our second TBR pick. The one thing that's kind of annoying is they're kind of bunching together like this. So I'm going to take them out and separate them so that I can get a good jar pick. A book you missed the hype train on. There's a couple. Shatter Me, ACOTAR. You know, I was planning on doing like a reading vlog, reading the entire ACOTAR series for the first time. So I guess this is the universe telling me that I need to pick up the series already. I'm gonna go get ACOTAR because I have it on my shelf in the living room. I tried really hard for like the past 15 minutes to try and get the sticker off the book so that it looks a little more pretty for you guys. This is ridiculous. I don't know how I'm gonna get it off, but this is for the book that we missed the hype train on. I feel like every fantasy girl has read ACOTAR except for me. So I was thinking about doing a reading vlog where I give my thoughts and opinions on this series. I'm kind of excited to do that. So if you're interested in seeing something like that, please let me know. And then we have one more TBR jar pick that we're going to do. I hope this one's a really good one. A book with a person on the cover. Okay. I'm going to have to pull a couple options to decide which one we're going to do. We have 3 possibilities for this prompt pick. First one is Gate to Kagoshima by Poppy Kuroki. This is the one that I got most recently. We have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. And we have Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. The Mortal Instruments series literally formed me into the reader that I am today. And a lot of people are saying that they loved the Infernal Devices so much more. So I'm definitely leaning towards Clockwork Angel. I mean, you can tell that I've had this for a long time because the pages are yellow. Sorcery of Thorns, I literally bought this because I accidentally bought the novella first and I thought I would buy this book as well because I already had the novella. And it kind of would just make sense if I had this, I could read both of them. And then this I got as a blind date with the book. And I still haven't picked it up yet. I honestly don't know which one I'm going to pick out of these 3. I think I'm going to do Clockwork Angel. It just seems like it makes the most sense. This is I don't know what I'm trying to say, to be honest. Like middle school aged Kai would have gobbled this up if she actually picked it up. So I owe it to myself to finally read this book. So those are our 4 TBR picks. I think all 4 of these books are on our 25 for 2025. Hold on. Did we do this by accident? Let's see. Clockwork Angel is on here. ACOTAR is on here. Skyshade is on here. And A Study of Drowning is on here. Every single TBR jar pick was from my 25 for 2025. How funny is that? I definitely did not plan this, but that just means that we're going to be making room for more books on our TBR. I would hate to go through the entire year and not have finished this list. So I guess the sooner we finish it, the better. Let's see how many I've read so far. I read Onyx Storm. I've read Phantasma. I'm on Anathema right now. I read Assistant to the Villain. I started Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, like the first chapter. I have read 3 of them, and then I am planning on reading 4 more, plus Anathema, which I'm in the middle of right now. So that's 5. That would be 8 books done by the end of March, which I think is actually a really good pace because we didn't do any for January, I don't think, except for Onyx Storm. I am definitely trying to knock out a lot of my physical TBR because I definitely don't want to be a book hoarder of books that I haven't read. But now that I have a Kindle that my husband so graciously bought me, I am finally getting some use out of my Kindle Unlimited subscription. And I think that is what's going to help us read so many books. I have to see how many of these are on Kindle Unlimited, because if it is on Kindle Unlimited, I will probably read it on my Kindle. But I know at least one of these aren't, because that's how it usually works. I don't think Skyshade is. I think it might be a little too new. So these are the 6 books that we are planning on reading in March, plus 4 empty slots to mid-read. I think that's a good start. And I'm really excited because I have just been such in a reading mood lately. I think it's because of how many good reads that I had in February. I'm just excited to read. I'm kind of sad that I don't get that much time to read on weekends, which is, I feel like, kind of backwards, because I feel like most people have more time to read on weekends. But most of my free time does come in the like lulls and in between moments. So like when I have slow moments at work is when I read. On my lunch break, sometimes if I'm in the mood, I'll bust out an audio book on my commute. I will read my Kindle on the stair stepper at the gym, but I don't actively read on the weekends because I just have so much to do. I'm usually filming, and then the times that I'm not filming, I'm editing. And the times that I'm not doing either, I am cleaning my home or running errands or doing something. I definitely have been neglecting my physical books this month. So I'm going to try and read at least one of these physically, but I am very excited. I have many high hopes for this month, and I would love to hear your most anticipated read for this month. If you have one, please comment it down below. But that is all that I have for you today. I am so thankful if you chose to stay this long. I feel extremely blessed to have a platform where I can talk about the things that I like and have people who actually listen sometimes. All of my socials and my links are in the description box below. If you like bookish content, follow my Instagram and my TikTok, because I pretty much exclusively post bookish content on those platforms. But I hope you have a wonderful, amazing, beautiful day, and I will see you next time I see you. Bye.